Among the options on the beer wall at Walter's Sports Bar are Annapolis IPA, Green City IPA, Raised by Wolves, and Vienna Lager. Walter's is located across the street from Nationals Park.
If you are a small business owner, I'm sure sometimes you feel like you need a marketing degree just to successfully market your business. I'm here to tell you that is not the case if you use Constant Contact. Constant Contact's award-winning platform has powerful marketing tools to make it easy to grow your audience, engage your customers, and sell more. In just a few clicks, you can launch a campaign that is tailored to your business and goals. Maybe you're launching a new product, or releasing a newsletter, or want to tell your customers about upcoming deals. Constant Contact can help with all of that. This includes email, SMS, social media, and so much more, all designed to be easy so you can sell more, raise more, and fast-track business growth. Plus, Constant Contact's award-winning customer service is there for guidance along the way to help you with things like customer lists, templates, and follow-ups. Get going and start growing your business today with a free trial at ConstantContact.com. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall.
1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the pitch. And Miranda launches one to left field. This is deep. Winker back. Forget about it. It is long gone into section 103. 2-1 shot for Jose Miranda, his 4th of the year, and it's 4-0 Minnesota.
Next pitch swung on. Hit in the air to deep right center field. This is way back, and this ball is gone. Out of here in a hurry into section 143. Over the Geico billboard in deep right center field. A 2-home run game for Byron Buxton with his 2nd and 3rd home runs of the year. He's now driven in 3 and 15 for the year. And the Twins have hit 3 home runs off Patrick Corbin in the first 5 innings of this game. And it's now Minnesota 6 and Washington nothing.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. Along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. You know that baseball saying of momentum is the next day's starting pitcher? Consider this 3-game series for the Nats against the Minnesota Twins at Nationals Park so far. Monday evening, a 12-3 Nats win. Tuesday evening, a 10-0 Nats loss. The Nats now have lost 9 of their last 12 games for this regular season, now are 21 and 26. The Twins, with their win on Tuesday evening, ended a 7-game losing streak. Coming up later in the show, updates on the Nats' top 3 prospects in James Wood, Dylan Cruz, and Brady House, as well as another Nats Chat podcast shout-out. If you would like to send a shout-out to someone via this podcast, email Tim Shovers at natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We on Tuesday evening had something that we've become quite accustomed to over the last 5 seasons, a blow-up start by Patrick Corbin. He allowed 8 runs in 6 innings. As much as it at times has felt like Corbin has been better this season, he, for this regular season, has by far the worst ERA and worst whip among all qualified pitchers in the majors, and he has allowed the most runs, earned runs, and hits in the majors. Keep all of that in mind the next time you hear about Corbin being better this season. He is having a 5th consecutive terrible season. This is the 6th and final season of the 6-year, $140 million contract to which the Nats signed Corbin as a free agent in December 2018. And Mark, for a lot of people listening, that contract cannot end soon enough.
Well, here's the deal out. We've done this version of this show way too many times the last 4 seasons. And pretty much every time you ask me within that, is there a chance that his job is in jeopardy? Is there a chance they will make a move? And I have consistently said to you, I don't see it happening. My answer to you tonight is I don't see it happening yet. But for the first time in 4 years, I feel comfortable saying that it is now within reach, that we can see where this is now headed. Barring injuries or other things happening to other guys, within the next month, Josiah Gray should be back in the Nationals rotation. Cade Cavalli should be done with his rehab and ready to pitch in the big leagues again. And when that happens, again, barring something really weird between now and then, I do not see how there's any justification any longer for the Nationals to say that Patrick Corbin deserves to be one of their 5 starters or even one of their 6 starters if that's the way they go. I don't think they release him. I think they will make that long-awaited move to the bullpen, give themselves a second lefty, give themselves somebody who could actually give them 3-4 innings if they ever need a long man. So it's not happening yet, but I can see where this is now going. And hopefully we are not having this conversation too many more times in this podcast because we're both sick of it. Fans are sick of it. We've just been waiting this out for the inevitable move. Finally, I think we're getting closer to that move.
You know, he entered Tuesday having been decent in 4 of his last 5 starts. I think that's part of why there is this feeling of, well, he has been better this season. But the numbers slap you across the face. No, actually, he once again is one of the worst pitchers in the sport, if not the worst pitcher in the sport. Tuesday evening was a shellacking. 8 runs in 6 innings. He gave up 9 hits, which were comprised of 3 home runs, a triple, a double, and 4 singles. He issued 3 walks and a run-scoring wild pitch. He recorded 3 strikeouts. He threw 106 pitches, 60 strikes versus 46 balls. Corbin allowed 2 runs in the 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th innings. He, in the top of the 2nd, allowed a leadoff opposite field home run by Byron Buxton to right center field for a 1-0 Twins lead. In the top of the 3rd, allowed a 2-out, 2-run homer by Jose Miranda to left field for a 4-0 Twins lead. And in the top of the 5th, allowed a 2-out, 2-run homer by Buxton to center field for a 6-0 Twins lead. The Miranda homer went a projected 411 feet per Statcast. That second Buxton homer went a projected 424 feet per Statcast. We have seen Nats pitchers do such a good job of not allowing homers this season. We saw on Tuesday evening, for the first time in a while, a Nats pitcher truly get got by the home run.
And that was how Corbin had survived this recent stretch. His last 5 starts, he actually been putting runners on base at almost the same pace that he has not been striking guys out. But he had avoided those big bad innings by keeping the ball in the yard. Only 1 homer allowed in his last 26 innings entering this game. And then here we go, 3 of them in this game. And this looked very much like the Patrick Corbin of old, and not in a good way, where he's putting guys on base and then he's giving up the bombs, leaving pitches, very hittable pitches, out over the plate. There was just no fooling them tonight. The weather's heating up. The ball is going to fly. There really was nothing for him to do to try to keep the ball in the yard. And I think that was, to me, the biggest difference. It's not like he'd been pitching so well previously that he was cruising along. He wasn't. He was getting himself into some jams, but he was getting out of it in large part because he avoided those big multi-run scoring hits, and in this one that finally came back to catch him.
So the numbers for Corbin for the regular season here: 10 starts, ERA is 6.29, whip of 177, and he has the worst ERA among all qualified pitchers in the majors, the worst whip among all qualified pitchers in the majors, and he has allowed the most runs, earned runs, and hits in the majors. You know how we have the triple crown for hitting? There's also a triple crown for pitching. This is the quintuple crown for being a bad pitcher. Worst ERA, worst whip, most hits allowed, most runs allowed, most earned runs allowed. It really is something. And, you know, I feel like this outing in a lot of ways captures Corbin these last 5 seasons perfectly, because he gives up 8 runs and yet he lasts for 6 innings. How often does that happen? You give up that many runs and yet last for that many innings. And that does highlight the one thing that Corbin has provided during this time of being so bad, and that is volume. And so you get this bizarro final line on Tuesday evening that really does capture the Patrick Corbin of 2020 through 2024. 8 runs in 6 innings.
And that's the biggest reason that he's still in the rotation to this point. Well, that and the $140 million contract, of course. Yeah, because somebody has to pitch these innings. And when you're getting blown out, you'd rather not have to burn up your entire bullpen on a game like this. And so thanks to Patrick Corbin, they only used 2 other relievers during the course of a game, and that maybe puts them in a better position to try to win Wednesday in the series finale. So I think that is a little bit of a saving grace. I think that's what they have appreciated the most about him. He has taken the ball every 5th day. He gives them his 100 pitches no matter what. And, you know, very often that does include 6 innings, no matter how many runs he's give up. This was, though, the 11th time he's given up 7 or more runs since 2020. I couldn't believe that's not number 1 in the league. Jordan Lyles has actually done it 12 times, 1 more than Corbin. So that'll be a fun race to the finish line for those 2 over the ensuing month or 2 whenever they both continue to pitch. But like I said, we've seen this start way too many times. But you're right. Aside from, I can only think of a handful of times that he really got knocked out early. That's a couple years ago. I remember one at Dodger Stadium, didn't get out of the first inning. For the most part, no matter how ugly it is, he's still going to give you his 6 innings and his 100 pitches. And there is, believe it or not, some value in that.
So in terms of who will replace Corbin in the rotation, barring the unforeseen, we have Josiah Gray, who has been on the 15-day injured list since April 9th, retroactive to April 6th, with the right elbow / right forearm flexor strain. We have Cade Cavalli, who has been on the 60-day injured list since March 26th as he recovers from Tommy John surgery that he underwent in March 2023. There had been a feeling that maybe Jackson Rutledge could be summoned at some point. Maybe he is, but he's not having a particularly good season for AAA Rochester. Assuming Gray and Cavalli, one of those two would be the one to replace Corbin. You know, the Gray recovery, as we've talked about, is taking a while here. Is it possible Cavalli is ready before Gray?
It's possible. There is some good news here on Josiah Gray that he's thrown a bunch of bullpen sessions the last, I think, like 2 weeks or so. The word is that he is finally ready to start facing live hitters now, next time out. So that's a big step, and that's what you do before you then go out on a rehab assignment. So I think we are getting close to that point with him, which should speed up the process somewhat. Will he need the full month on a rehab that Cade Cavalli will? Maybe not. You would hope that Josiah Gray doesn't need that much time. That's like a full spring training. Hopefully he doesn't need that. So I'm going to say, we're about 3 weeks away, potentially, from Josiah Gray and maybe 4 weeks from Cade Cavalli. But I think it's those two to keep an eye on now and see how that goes. Rutledge would have to really turn it on here at AAA. He has not done that yet. The other thing to consider, of course, is, I said barring anything negative happening. Well, knock on wood, nobody else gets hurt. But the other part of the equation is Mitchell Parker, while he's been very good for them and way more than you expected, there's still that feeling of it could all fall apart at any point for him. And the Nationals may have some visions of him trying to limit his workload this year and may say, hey, we're going to send you back to AAA for a little bit, let you get on more of a 6-day rotation and, limit you to 4 or 5 innings, something like that. So that could happen too. But it's going to be really hard here within a couple of weeks, I think, for them to make the justification that, as I've been saying all along, once they have 5 clearly more viable options than Corbin, they make that move. At this moment, as we speak, that's not the case. But I do think within a few weeks that it will be the case.
And that, of course, has been one of the great indictments of this entire scenario, that Corbin has been allowed to make as many starts as he has and has been this staple in the rotation, despite being really bad for 5 straight years. I don't think we can emphasize that enough. 2020 through 2024. It's not he was bad in some of those seasons. He has been bad in each of those seasons, and he's gotten progressively worse as those seasons have gone on. Hey guys, Al Galdi here to tell you about the latest offer from Window Nation for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. The time has come. The time for Window Nation's semi-annual sale. 50% off all window styles plus 0% interest for 5 years and an additional bonus if you schedule an appointment this week. This runs through the end of the month. Many so-called wood or composite windows are actually made from waste materials like wood fibers and cannot beat the efficiency of Window Nation's insulated vinyl windows. Window Nation's vinyl windows can do everything that you need and at a fraction of the cost of wood or composite windows. You see, nobody does windows like Window Nation does. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. Again, that deal, the semi-annual Window Nation sale. 50% off all window styles plus 0% interest for 5 years and an additional bonus if you schedule an appointment this week. 866-90NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90NATION or windownation.com. And make sure that you tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
From groan-worthy dad jokes to patching up skinned knees, your dad is one of a kind. This Father's Day, give him a gift that is guaranteed to take him to his happy place. Omaha Steaks. Order mouth-watering gift packages starting at just $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code NATSCHAT at checkout. Each package is backed by their unconditional money-back guarantee. Show your dad the love he deserves with a gift as unforgettable as he is. Visit omahasteaks.com, promo code NatsChat at checkout.
Now the pitch. Swinging a fly ball deep right field. Rosario back on this one to the warning track, looking up at the wall, and it's gone. And that's going to be a 2-run homer for Castro to make it 10-0.
The Nats bullpen in this 10-0 loss to the Twins on Tuesday evening. Two Nats relievers combined to allow 2 runs in 3 innings. Jacob Barnes allowed 2 runs in 2 innings. Barnes in the top of the 7th gave up a 2-out 2-run homer by Willie Castro to right field on a 1-2 pitch for a 10-0 Twins lead. As Nats pitchers in this game allowed 4 home runs, and we did get a Tanner Rainey appearance, and I'll let you decide if this was a good outing or a bad outing for Rainey. So he tossed a scoreless, hitless, and walkless top of the 9th. So all of that is good, but he issued 2 hit-by pitches. You hold your breath now when Tanner Rainey pitches. I guess all things considered, that's a good Rainey outing, but the fact that he issues the 2 hit-by pitches, it just strikes you of there's still something very much off with Tanner.
Yeah, he's not good by any stretch of the imagination. I do think he was better than we've seen from him this one. Clearly, when he's off, he's still really off and was hitting batters. He did have a strikeout. The velocity was in that mid-90s range, which is improved. Got a double play grounder to get him out of the inning, so that was encouraging. I think he threw more strikes than balls for the first time maybe in a while, so that was encouraging. Look, if ever there was a low-leverage spot, here it was, and there was no excuse not to put him out there and see what he could do. Baby steps. I don't think anybody's going to be getting too excited over this one, but it was better than what we've seen from him. Maybe internally in his own mind, this was important for him to say, okay, I put up a 0, didn't get hit hard, I threw more strikes than balls. Maybe something to work off of now for the next time he pitches.
So bad pitching by the Nats on Tuesday evening and bad hitting by the Nats on Tuesday evening. The Nats in this game, no runs, just 3 hits, which were a double and 2 singles. 3 walks, 10 strikeouts, 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. Twin starting pitcher Joe Ryan tossed 7 scoreless innings. 2 bright spots for the Nats offense were Joey Meneses and Jacob Young. They combined for all 3 of the Nats hits. Joey Meneses, he is the Nats starting designated hitter and, of course, number 4 batter. He went 1 for 3 with a double and a walk. He in the bottom of the 4th had a 2-out opposite field double off the right center field scoreboard, and he in the bottom of the 9th drew a 2-out walk. And Jacob Young, he is the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter, 2 for 3 with 2 singles. Bottom of the 3rd, a 2-out single to center field, and bottom of the 6th, a leadoff single to left field. But the other Nats players who batted in this game, a combined 0 for 23 with 2 walks, a far cry from the Nats offense that we saw in the 12-3 win over the Twins on Monday evening. There's a feeling that you have as a fan when a struggling offense busts out, and it's, can we save some of these runs for another game? And I did have that feeling watching that game on Monday evening, and sure enough, the Nats could have used some of that offense from Monday evening on Tuesday evening. But seriously, it is remarkable how baseball can work. The offense looked so good in Game 1 of this series and looked so bad in Game 2.
Yeah, and vice versa as far as the Twins were concerned. They looked awful. They had scored, I think, 12 runs during their 7-game losing streak, and then they scored 10 runs in this game. So it really is about who you're facing as a starting pitcher. And Joe Ryan was on. He was very good in that game. Apparently, he really, they kept using the term like he has a lot of vertical element to his pitching, where I guess it means like the fastball appears to rise, something like that, or he's very good working up and down as opposed to in and out. And it had them completely befuddled. Like you said, only a couple of walks, only a couple of hits on top of it. There just was nothing. A lot of quick outs. Unfortunately, the kind of game that we've seen too often from them. I also can't help but think, and I know you want to believe these guys are professionals. They're going to work as hard as they can, no matter what the score is. When they see how far they're down early on, and knowing that it's Corbin again, there's got to be at least a little bit of like a, well, what's the point now kind of attitude. You hope that's not the case, but it's human nature. You can understand if that does happen. Would have been nice to see them try to get something going, giving them some positive momentum to go into Wednesday. But you hope that this is just a one-off. They come back on Wednesday and look a lot better, because there was not a lot to get excited about here. I did think the Meneses double, I know we're grasping at straws here. He hit that ball with authority to right center field, 106 miles an hour off the bat. That's not the kind of swing we have seen from him. Even his hits have been soft. They've been grounders, more so to the left side than the right side. This was a ball driven with authority to right center field, the kind of thing we used to see from him at the end of 22 and at times last year. I don't know if that will translate into anything else. It was only one at bat, but I did like to see that. That looked more like the Joey Meneses that we had fallen in love with a couple years ago.
Well, game 3 for the Nats against the Twins at Nationals Park Wednesday afternoon at 1:05. Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher.
The best way to learn a language? Immersion. Living where the language is spoken and using it every day. But if that's not in the cards this year, you could still learn a language the second best way, and that's with Babbel. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are handcrafted by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Here's a special deal for our listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners for a limited time at babbel.com/natschat. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/natschat. That's spelled BABBEL.com/natschat. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this podcast. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. If you haven't heard of the EE System, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. At hundreds of locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/bluewire to learn more and find a center near you. That's unifydhealing.com/bluewire. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
This weekend, Julio Rodriguez and the Mariners come to D.C. and make Game Time your spot to buy tickets for the series. Tickets are as low as $9. There are seats available down the third base line in the $37 range. Game Time is proud of their ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. They also offer a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code NATSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code NATSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
1-1. And Wood tattoos it deep right field. Back goes Luplow, looks up, and that ball's out of here in a blink of an eye. 1-10 off the bat for James Wood. Demolishes a hanging splitter for a 2-run homer.
We don't want to belabor this game on Tuesday evening. It was bad, and, there's not a ton that needs to be said about it. But we did have happier news for the Nats on Tuesday. Some notable minor league performances, and there's actually a lot to chew on here. So we begin with the AA Harrisburg Senators, a 2-1 win over the Akron Rubber Ducks on Tuesday afternoon. First of all, Lane Thomas. This was game 1 of his minor league rehab assignment. He is Harrisburg's starting right fielder and number 1 batter, 0 for 3. Did have a stolen base. Did have an outfield assist. He's been on the 10-day injured list since April 24th due to a sprained left MCL. But regarding the Nats' top 3 prospects, the man who the Nats took with the number 2 overall pick in the 2023 MLB draft, Dylan Cruz, the number 7 prospect in baseball per MLB Pipeline. In case you haven't been paying attention, he has caught fire. He is Harrisburg's starting center fielder and number 4 batter, 2 for 4 with a triple and a single. Cruz had a bad April. He also dealt with injury, but he for this month of May has been outstanding. Following slash line, batting average of .315, on base percentage of .387, slugging percentage of .593. Dylan Cruz this month is playing like the prospect he's supposed to be. Also, Brady House, the number 37 prospect in baseball per MLB Pipeline. He on Tuesday as Harrisburg starting third baseman and number 5 batter, 3 for 4 with a solo homer, a double, and an RBI single. He has had a very good season, a very consistent season. He for this season has an OPS of 840. And then there is the Nats' top prospect, James Wood, for whom the drumbeat continues to get louder and louder. There is an anger among Nationals fans right now that James Wood has not yet been promoted to the majors. And the anger is understandable. James Wood is up to being the number 5 prospect in baseball per MLB Pipeline. He's playing for the AAA Rochester Red Wings. He is part of a doubleheader for Rochester on Tuesday. Homered again. James Wood for this season has an OPS of 1,027. He for this month of May has the following slash line: batting average of 381, on base percentage of 494, slugging percentage of 667. The last time we talked James Wood on this podcast, we got into the Nats sticking to their developmental process with James Wood. I respect that. We, this season in MLB, have seen a good number of well-regarded prospects struggle. The Nats don't want to promote Wood to the majors until the team deems him ready. I respect that. You know, the team is not letting fan sentiment influence the developmental timeline for Wood. I respect that. However, he is destroying AAA pitching, and I don't know what exactly he has left to prove at the AAA level. There must be something that the Nats don't want to see. I'm not sure what that something is. Maybe they want him to be fluent in Portuguese. I don't know. But this guy is just destroying AAA pitching. It has felt this way for a while, but I'll say it again. It feels like we're going to see James Wood at the major league level sooner rather than later, right? I mean, how do we avoid that at this point?
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Although, hey, Portuguese comes in very valuable in the big leagues. Let me tell you, it's an important skill to have. Yeah, what's funny is, a few weeks ago when this starts coming up, you hear, okay, what is it that they're looking for? They mentioned things about better numbers against lefties. Well, he's been hitting lefties quite well here lately. So that's not really an issue. They want him to be, consistent in the field, on the bases. Everything I can tell, he is doing everything that you would want him to do. What was that on base percentage? 494 for the season. I mean, what more could you possibly want out of somebody? So I think the only thing right now that's holding him back is this fear that, as you alluded to, is what if you call him up and he's really bad and you have to now decide, are we just going to ride it out with him and let him potentially fail up here, or are we going to send him back down, and what does that do to his confidence? I think that's the only thing left, the only real possible explanation for it. And you're going to reach a point here, I think, fairly soon when you just say, you know what, it's time to find out. He's done everything there is to do at the AAA level. There's nothing left for him to prove. Let's find out here. Now, the other thing I would say, and I could see how this might be on their minds as well, when you have a lineup that's struggling as much as these guys are, aside from Monday night's game, and this is now 3 shutouts in a week and several games, they only scored 2 runs. I think there's a little bit of fear of calling up a top prospect in order to be the savior for the team and say, okay, you have to now turn this whole lineup around, because that's not fair to him or to anybody to be in that kind of position. You would hope that as a team, they start playing a little better and you remove that idea from the equation. Of course, James Wood would help them out, but to ask him to turn the whole season around for them offensively is too much to ask. You don't want that to be the case. So I'm trying to fathom what other reasons there may be. That's about all I can come up with at this point. They host the Mariners this weekend. You thought, you want him to debut at home. I'm not saying it's impossible, depending on how the next couple of days go, but I think it's probably not quite yet. Then they're on the road. Atlanta, do you really want to do it on the road against the Braves? Probably not. Cleveland. And then I'm looking at a homestand against the Mets and the Braves starting June 3rd. If we don't see him during that homestand, and now we're into June, I'm starting to get a little more concerned with it. It's going to be hard to justify it if he keeps this up, and he's still not up by then. I
mean, we're well past the service time days, so that's not the issue anymore. I don't know exactly what it would be at this point, unless you're going to keep him in the minors for the entirety of this season and play the service time game next season, but they're not going to do that. I mean, he's knocking on the doorstep, so it's going to happen. It feels like it could happen any day now, but of course, we've been at that point for a while. I would say this about him potentially struggling at the major league level. Yeah, he might, but, you can have him work through those struggles at the major league level. I mean, it doesn't have to be that if he struggles, you have to send him right back down. The Nats still are a rebuilding team, so if you call him up and he's kind of hit and miss, okay, you can call him up and have him be up and have him work his way through whatever struggles he might have. And maybe he doesn't struggle. I mean, just because someone like Jackson Holiday struggled doesn't mean that James Wood will struggle. Every guy is different. I do want to say this. I'm really happy to see Dylan Cruz doing well because April did not go well. And you didn't know what to think of where he was at. You didn't know what to think of the season that he was having. This presumption that we all had that Cruz would be promoted to the majors this season all of a sudden didn't seem so solid. Now it feels like we're back on track again with Dylan Cruz. And Brady House, I mean, we remember last year, right? The back injury. You weren't quite sure what to make of where he was at. He has done a good job. He has vaulted into being a top 40 prospect in the sport. And so with the way things are now, and these things can change, but the notion of by the time we get to August/September, Wood, Cruz, and House all being up at the major league level, it's possible. I don't know how probable that is, but that is possible. And that is exciting to think about.
Yeah, I think it's really important what those two guys have been doing here lately. In Brady House's case, hitting for power. 7 homers in his last 19 games is a great sign. I think that was something that a little bit of wondering what about that part of his game, because we know the reputation is supposed to be this guy is a true power hitter, and we're starting to see that now at the AA level, which is great. Dylan Cruz, he's hitting a lot, and it sounds like he's hitting a lot in big moments, driving in runs, game-winning hits, that kind of stuff. That's his reputation for what he did in college, and they want to see more of that. So that's really good. And I know we're all waiting for that James Wood call up to the big leagues, but I'm also really interested to see when Cruz probably first and then maybe House after that get the move up to AAA. I think that's an important move. The timing of that will tell us a lot about how close to big league ready and whether we may see one or both of them before the end of the season. So if in a perfect world here, maybe James Wood within the next 2 weeks is in the big leagues, and maybe at some point in June, you have Dylan Cruz getting up to AAA, and maybe by July, Brady House at AAA. That's really important stuff. I think that helps us get a sense in our mind of what this team could look like at the end of the year and certainly going into next year. In your perfect world, you'd love to get enough of them in the big leagues this year, even just at the end, to have an idea of what you've got going into next year. And are they bona fide starting members of your lineup on opening day next year, or are you still not sure yet? They've got steps to take, still to do to get to that point. But that's the dream scenario for the organization, is that they end this year and they know that these guys are big leaguers for them in 2025.
Would be great to see that. There's also Robert Hassel III, who's having a solid bounce-back season off his rough 2023 season. Hassel playing for AA Harrisburg. Shout-out time. A big happy birthday shout-out to Lee Hobson of Frederick, Maryland, from his loving family. In addition to being a loyal member of Nats Chat Nation, Lee is a wonderful husband, father, and pop-pop. So today, enjoy your favorite pastime rooting for your favorite team, and we wish you many, many happy returns. A happy birthday to Lee. Enjoy your day. You can hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email the podcast, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website that we invite you to check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
The windup and the 3-2, and that is hit high in the air, out to left field. Going back is Lampy, and that one is gone. Brady House has hit home run number 9, and the Senators are on top 1-0 here in the second.
Everyone is talking about magnesium. It's all you hear about. But why? What do we know about magnesium? Well, magnesium is the #1 mineral that 75% of Americans are deficient in. If you are a woman over 35, magnesium will help you rediscover balance, energy, and vitality. Magnesium supports more than 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those involved in hormonal balance. From functional medicine doctors to mental well-being and female hormone experts, we all know that magnesium is the one mineral to improve all aspects of well-being and health. But which one? Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, the trusted choice recommended by leading experts with 7 best-absorbed forms of magnesium to ensure your body receives the support it needs for overall well-being. Go to bioptimizers.com/balance today and use code BALANCE10 for 10% off. Support your journey to wellness at bioptimizers.com/balance. Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, your foundation to optimal health and vitality.